Hey coffee nerds, I'm Brodie, here in the Gothic quarter of Barcelona. I wanted to show you a few of my favorite coffee shops here in town. So over the last few days, I went on a bit of a coffee tour to 5 of my favorite shops. And I want to share with you a little bit of how they have each been dealing with the pandemic in their own unique way. So we're going to start off in the beautiful neighborhood of Gracia at a cafe called Slow Move. Vamos! So Slow Move is actually one of the first coffee roasters that I ever visited here in Barcelona. And as I'll tell anyone, they are one of my favorite roasters in town. Today I was suggested to order this really beautiful Ethiopian coffee. They've done a little bit of renovations over the years. In fact, recently, within the last year, they've changed up the whole bar. It's looking really sleek. And in just a few weeks, they're going to be replacing that wood in there with some beautiful marble. So I'm going to check back with you later for the updates. But in the meantime, I'm just enjoying a classic filter coffee, V60 brewed, and the owners, Francois and Carmen, they just had a baby recently, in fact, a year and 4 months ago. So not that recent, but as you can see, they're very busy in here. So one way that they did adapt during the pandemic is by transitioning their business to being much more online. Now, this is not unusual for a lot of roasters during this time, but specifically since they are roasting inside, they were able to make ends meet by selling more online, retail, wholesale, and of course, they did move the bar up to the window, so they had people lined up out here when they could open again after the confinement here in Barcelona. So there's always ways to adapt. It's not always easy, but they're making it work, and it's a really, really cool space. So here I am at 3 Marks. The name comes from the owners, 3 different Marks. Well, actually, one of them is Marco, 2 of them are Marco, and the other one is Marc, Catalan Marc. So anyways, I got an espresso tonic. Not a huge fan of these straws, but whatever, it's already there. This is really nice. They are one of the newer cafes in town. They've been operating for about 1 or 2 years now. But they've been roasting over on the other side of town at this place called Morro. And now they're actually setting up their own roastery in the neighborhood on the other side of town in Forum. And so they've been developing, progressing, and the space is absolutely beautiful. I love it here. And in terms of what they're doing for, what they were doing during COVID and during the pandemic is adapting by, just really pushing their online presence. They didn't have a website before, they didn't have an online store, so they really took time to develop that and started shipping all over the world. They were telling me some of the furthest places that they shipped were Thailand, Australia, and of course all over Europe. So they have some really, really good coffees on the menu. And then this space in general, just like at Slow Move, they moved the table up so that they could serve people out the door. It's a really, really cool spot. I love the innovation here and just like the minimalist design. But anyway, espresso tonic, it's another classic. Thank you, Marks. On to the next. So, new shirt, new day, new cafe, same beautiful, beautiful city. Here I am at News and Coffee. We're on Passage de San Juan. So we're here in the Eixample neighborhood on the right side. So they call it Eixample derecha, right? And here I am, News and Coffee. This is actually one of the newest spots here in Barcelona. It just opened up earlier this year, back in February or January. But Pablo, who you can see standing behind me over here, he is the mastermind behind this beautiful shop with a few other people, but he's actually a consultant for hospitality. So he's designed a few really, really beautiful places here in Barcelona, restaurants, picking out the furniture, picking out the whole theme. And then of course, this is his baby. But here I have this flat white, it's an oat milk flat white, classic here in Barcelona. And they are planning a few more spots opening here in Barcelona and maybe some other cities. So stay tuned for that. But if you're into news, if you're into media, if you're into things hip and unusual, this is the space for you. And so during COVID, during the pandemic, of course, they had to close for a little bit, but they were able to survive. They were able to, because they were one of the only cafes open. They were serving all to go. As you can see, there's plexiglass here in front of the espresso machine. So they were keeping all the, safety standards and everything, but they were serving great coffee while everyone else had to close. So it was very fortunate for them. but at the end of the day, they're serving classic menu, espresso drinks. It's a great supplement to the good vibes here at News and Coffee. Oh yeah. So here I am at Little Fern. It is one of the very few specialty coffee shops over here in Pobleno in the east end of Barcelona, but one of my favorite neighborhoods, one of my favorite shops. They have a lot of really cool options on the menu, including, you don't see this every day, this is their version of like a, I don't know, some sort of pudding, but it's from croissant. So it's all, you know, cinnamon, caramel, super tasty. That is good. And seeing as this is the last shop that I'm going to be visiting today, I gotta break this video up into a few segments because drinking so much coffee and with the heat and everything, I decided to go for a nice local organic natural wine. But I love my natural wines, and this one is great. It actually reminds me a lot of the coffees that I drink because of all the fruity, sort of like dried fruits, fermenty type flavors. That's a different story, but let's focus on Little Fern here. So they've got a lot of really cool drinks on the menu, and that's what I wanted to show you today. In fact, the menu itself, like a lot of restaurants here in Barcelona, probably around the world, you can actually scan a QR code and pull it up on your phone to limit, you know, the hand contact with the menu. But some of the things on the menu are a list of course, many different coffee variations, as well as you know, some amazing teas. They've got some chai tea, prana chai from Australia, as well as some healthier sort of drink mixes. They've got a healthy cocktail menu with a few different options, some wines, as I mentioned, some local craft beers. And then if you flip it over, hypothetically, digitally, on the other side, the food menu. So they actually revised some of their food menu during the COVID to deal with the amount of staff that they actually have and the amount of prep time. So they have 2 people up front, 2 people in the back. So they've kind of taken a more of a vegan approach. No meat on the menu. They do some really nice tostadas, toasts, and you know, different salad type options. But they do have egg and cheese as well for that typical breakfast flair. But in terms of, you know, the whole vibe here, they actually bring in coffee from Meke. So Meke is a roaster from Vissers. So it's not based here in Barcelona, and they have previously brought in coffee from England. So they have a nice mix of different sort of vibes, as you can see, very minimal, beautiful design, lots of plants. And, you know, I love coming back here because it's just kind of like out of the city center. And yeah, in terms of COVID, they were closed for 2 months like a lot of places here, but they were able to adapt, and they've been seeing a lot of people come back in from the local neighborhood. You know, it's a real neighborhood spot. So next time I'm gonna come try the coffee, but for now I'm gonna enjoy this wine, and I will see you tomorrow at the next spot. Cheers. So this is so cool because we are here on our 3rd day of the coffee tour. As you know, I had to break it up into a few different days, but our last stop, we're here at Morro Coffee. It's over on, so remember when we were at News and Coffee with Pablo, that was Eixample Dreta. Now we're in Eixample Esquerra, so to the left in Catalan. And I'm sipping on a beautiful Ethiopian pour over. It's a natural process. But what's really cool about today is, remember when I was at 3 Marks, and also with Pablo at News and Coffee, they all roast their coffee here at Morro. Of course, 3 Marks is working on their new roastery over in Forum, as I mentioned, but for the time being, they've been roasting since the very beginning here at Morro because they have a great roaster here. And Andre was just explaining to me how a few years ago, they started this coffee shop here in this beautiful corner on Gran Via. So Andre and his family originally come from Moscow, and a few years ago they decided to move to Spain and to start getting into coffee, doing something that he really loved. Learned all about coffee, set up this shop just at the end of 2017, so a few years now. But what's really cool is just the way that they've been able to incorporate the local coffee community into their everyday operations. As you can see, it's a very thriving place. Obviously, during the lockdown, during the confinement here in Barcelona, they had 2 months where they had to completely close. They did get to start, just like 3 Marks, start their website just before the lockdown. So that was able to kind of keep them afloat and also just allow them to adapt to the times and just keep selling coffee online. Now, as you can see, the shop is running again. They got a lot of locals coming in here. It's August now. It's usually tourist season, but luckily a lot of local people, also expats, are coming in here to drink some really good coffee. Only time will tell how the scene here in Barcelona is going to grow and expand, but I think the key here is just camaraderie, you know, people working together, supporting each other. It's not about competition. That's been so clear on this coffee shop tour, that people are really supporting each other to help the specialty coffee scene grow here in Barcelona, here in Spain, here in Europe, and, you know, connecting obviously with people all around the world, from the farms to the cup. I love it. That is why I'm in coffee. So if you want to see more about my explorations in coffee, or connecting with other people who are working in the industry who are just as passionate about seeing this coffee scene to grow, supporting each other, now would be a great time to subscribe, because we're going to have a lot of great coffee content coming down the chute. Feel free to like this video and leave a comment if you've ever visited any of these shops in Barcelona, or if you have any other cities here in Europe that you'd like me to explore. Let me know in the comments. Looking forward to seeing you very, very soon. Cheers.